Let's start off with binkies. Rocky loves his binky. I literally just was trying to make it to 6 weeks. I just didn't know how long our journey was going to be. I remember a lot of times we had friends over once we put him down and we would run up the stairs to go put his binky back in his mouth because it fell and he woke up. I tried for a month and a half to get him to eat and I put way too much stress on it and he had no interest. Hello you guys, welcome back to another video. I cannot believe that I am making this video. It is insane that Rocky is 1 year old. He turned 1 on August 31st, if you guys didn't know. And I swear everyone says it, but the days are long and the years are short, and that year went by so fast. So I wanted to share just kind of like all things Rocky and our journey over this last year. So Rocky's asleep right now, but when he wakes up, I'm going to do just like a little baby update talking about like what he loves, what he hates, his weight, his height, like all that kind of stuff with him. And then after that, I am going to talk about my journeys with breastfeeding, with baby-led weaning or feeding him solids, and with sleeping. We have had quite the journey with all three of those things. And I've been kind of waiting to share it at this point because I wanted to talk about it a year in. And so I'm really hoping that this is helpful for any of you guys, but also selfishly, I'm going to look back on this when I have my next kid just to like know what to expect for the year when it comes to breastfeeding, sleep training, feeding him, all that kind of thing. So I hope that you guys enjoy. I will also timestamp this video because I'm afraid it's gonna be quite long. And let's get into the 1 year update. Rocky, you're 1 year old. Can you say, I'm one? You gonna be shy? Rocky boy just woke up, so he's a little tired, a little shy. I'm gonna feed him some string cheese while we do this little baby update to hopefully keep him calm, cool, and collected. Let's start off with binkies. Rocky loves his binky. We talked to our pediatrician and he doesn't have any concerns with him. He says like between 15 and 18 months is when they want to get you to like take the binky away. So that's kind of the plan for now, but until then I'm gonna let him enjoy his binky because he loves it. You want some string cheese? Okay. So Rocky's appointment was last Friday, today's Monday, so he weighed 22 pounds 6 ounces. I think he was in like the 65th or 4th percentile for weight. He was 31 inches tall, which I think was in like the 76th percentile or so, and then his head was 18 inches. I don't remember the percentile for that, but homeboy has always had a big head. Rocky has 5 teeth. He's had 5 teeth for a while and we don't really see one coming through. I thought I saw like the puffiness of like an indent on his top left, but it doesn't really seem to have any more coming through at the moment. He's loving mama still. If you guys follow me on Instagram, since he was about 10 months old, he's been super clingy to me. While he's playing, he'll come over and just like lay his head on my head or lay his head on my chest or my belly, and he'll just then go back and play, and it's the cutest thing ever. I'm seriously obsessed with having a little baby boy. Like, how freaking cute. You guys will hear all about Rocky's food journey later on in the video, but he finally loves food. We do not have to force food in him anymore. He is just so stoked to have anything that we're having. He says mama and dada. He signs more than he says. He signs more, please, thank you, all done. I think I said them all. I think it's like 5 words that he signs, and he does them pretty well. He's getting really good at telling us like what exactly he wants. The other day we were feeding him and I don't think we were like fully paying attention to his signing, and he signed drink and we gave him food and he was like going back and forth like, no, I want a drink, which is super cool that he just like knows what he wants. And he also just knows so much more. It's crazy what he understands and like what he'll respond to. Like yesterday we were at the lake and we were like, Rocky, where are the boats? And he just like pointed out into the water. And I'm like, how does this kid even know what a boat is? He's being so cuddly, oh my goodness. You want to sit up and show them your cute self? His hair is growing like crazy. He needs a haircut again already. I'm sure you guys are all curious to know about walking, and Rocky still is not walking. He uses a push walker. He will stand up, pull himself up, walk side to side. He'll climb up on things, but he has no desire to walk. We try and get him to walk in between us all the time, and he just sits down. While we're at the splash pad, I feel like is the most that he does walk, because he kind of wants to go around to like the different water features, and he'll walk just holding one of our fingers and then nothing in the other hand. So he knows how to do it. He'll also kind of just like stand on his own, but once he gets tired and he like doesn't want to, he literally just leans back because he knows we're gonna catch him. So the pediatrician was just saying like it's just like him getting confidence in doing it and he'll do it. They said that it's no concern, that 13 months is like the average time for walking, and if by like 16 months he's not, that's when we should be concerned. So just kind of addressing that here. Rocky still loves the water. He loves playing in the water, but he also loves drinking water. This kid will sign, like if you ask him what's wrong, he instantly goes to drink, and he just wants water all day long. This kid would chug it. So I feel like it's probably just because it's the summer and it's hot, or he just loves water. I'm not really sure. He loves waving hi and bye. He loves blowing kisses. He doesn't like to give kisses anymore. He hasn't really given someone a kiss like in months, but he loves to blow kisses to people. Rocky also loves to complete tasks, and I think this is because we have Love Every toys and they're all like task driven. But he loves to do things, and he loves getting proud of himself afterwards, and he loves when we're proud of himself. Like he will literally do something and then he'll like look at us to just like make sure we're like watching, and we'll just like cheer him on. And I think it's because every time he does something, we're always like yay and like make a huge deal out of it. But it's so cute to just watch him be so proud of himself. And then as far as just like random things go, this kid loves Moana. He loves the You're Welcome song. He loves Maui. He also loves the Where We Are at the beginning song. He does not love any other TV show. If you put anything else on, he is not like super entertained. And as far as Moana goes, he doesn't like pay attention unless there's songs on, really. So he's not still like a crazy TV kid, but he still loves the songs for sure. Now let's talk about some things that Rocky does not like. The first is being changed, and I know that's very common for a baby this age, but he literally hates being changed. He does not like food that he knows he doesn't like, if that makes sense. I'll explain more in the update as far as it goes with feeding him solids, but yeah, if he doesn't like something, he will spit it out. He will not try and sugarcoat it. He just does not mess with that. And then the last thing is he hates being alone. He loves when me or Nathaniel are around him. He would prefer that. Do you want some more? Oh, thank you. See, he just signed a drink right there. Which I don't have a drink up here, so I'm gonna go downstairs and get him right now, but I gave him food. I think that's what he actually wanted. But yeah, he doesn't really like to be alone. Independent play will happen here and there, but he likes it best when we're like in his view, which makes sense. He's 1 year old. He doesn't want to be by himself. So yeah, that is all about Rocky. As you can see too, Rocky is very shy. He's like this with everyone. Even if you know him, it normally does take a little bit for him to kind of warm up to you. But it means I get more mama snuggles, and I love it. So yeah, let's move on to the rest of the video. Are you okay? Yeah? Okay. All right, we're gonna start with my breastfeeding journey because you guys, this one has been a roller coaster. When I got pregnant, there was two things that I was super stoked for. I was really excited to nurse my baby. I don't know why, and I know that may sound weird, but I was just really excited to experience that. And I was also excited to baby wear. So I had high hopes for breastfeeding, and you see all those photos and you see how beautiful it looks. And I knew that it wasn't gonna be super easy. I knew people always said the first like few weeks are super hard, but after that, everyone was like, oh, it's so easy. It gets so much better. And that was unfortunately just not the case for Rocky and I. I'm here to share all of our struggles. I basically had everything happen to me besides mastitis, which I had a friend get mastitis multiple times, and she told me that she thought it was because of underwire in bras. And so I was very adamant about not wearing those and putting too much pressure underneath to like cut off the milk ducts. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, she's not a doctor, but that helped me not get mastitis, I swear. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of walk you through the entire year. We are 12 and a half months into this, and Rocky is still nursing, but he's only nursing 2 times right now, right when he wakes up and before he goes to bed. I am planning on weaning him completely within the next like couple weeks or so. I just need to kind of like mentally prepare for it, and then we figured out what we're gonna do, which I'll explain at the end of this. And then also I just wanted to get like a really good photo of him and I nursing, because when I started nursing, I didn't even think I could make it to 6 weeks. Like I was just praying that I could get to that point. So the fact that we have made it to a year is something that I just want to physically have documented so that way I can remember it. So let's jump into the journey. The first 2 weeks of nursing for me was hell. It was horrible. Like every single time I nursed Rocky, I cried. I like clung to Nathaniel. I profusely sweat. It was really painful for us. I don't think we had a bad latch, although now realizing the way that Rocky's teeth are growing in, I do think he has a lip tie that was just not caught, but it was just really painful for us. Of course, I got like the cracked nipples and all that kind of thing, but it didn't get better after putting like the nipple cream on it or just time. It just was painful for a while. The first 5 days specifically were so bad. I felt like, when I initially got him latched in the hospital, it wasn't a good latch, but then that's what he kind of knew. And so that's what he did. And then when my milk came in, my boobs were like so engorged that my boob was super hard and big, and it was a different latch for him. So he kind of had to like refigure it out. And every single time that I nursed, I was like so tense and just like sitting there. Like I remember just like stacking up pillows and just like being there like this, just like praying that it would go by fast. And I think this also kind of selfishly helped us with a good routine, because I did not want to nurse him more than what I had to because it was so painful. And so we nursed every 3 hours, and it really worked for us. Anyways, about 5 days in, my friend had a baby 3 weeks before me, and she came over and she taught me how to use a haka, which if you guys are first time moms or just never have used a haka, I highly recommend it. You basically attach it to the opposite boob when you're nursing, so that way it catches letdown, and it really helped me build a really good supply. But also I feel like the big thing is it would fill up with milk, and as I would sit back, the milk would just kind of be sitting around my nipple, and it helped heal them so they weren't as painful. That was another big tip that I got, was just to try and relax and to sit back instead of kind of coming to your baby. Let your baby come to you. And that kind of stuff really did help this process get easier. But like I said, for the first 2 weeks, I literally just was trying to make it to 6 weeks. I just didn't know how long our journey was going to be. At 2 months old was probably the most stressful part of our journey entirely. I remember he was 2 months exactly on Halloween, and I remember my mom came over to help because we were hosting like a little Halloween party, and I just started bawling because I could not nurse Rocky. For 5 days straight, every single time I tried to nurse him, which was 5 times through the day and then a couple times through the night, he would take 30 to 40 minutes to decide that he wanted to latch on. I was very stubborn. I really did not want to give him formula, and I didn't want to bottle feed him. I really wanted to just nurse him, and I tried everything. I switched up positions. A lot of times I ended up laying on my bed and trying to like nurse him lying down. I would dangle feed, I would do football, cross carry, like all the different things, and nothing would work. But me being super stubborn eventually made him eat because he was hungry. And so that lasted, I think, around 5 days, and it was horrible. I'm not kidding. Nursing was such a chore, and it was so incredibly just discouraging. I didn't know when it was gonna last. I didn't know if it was gonna last, but I was super stubborn, and I just stuck it out, and eventually he got the handle of it. But what I will add is the days where I just couldn't keep trying, I would try and give him a bottle with my breast milk. And when I did that, he no longer wanted milk from me. He just wanted the bottle. So then he was kind of striking me. And so I would sit there and I would nurse him, and I would give him a bottle, and then I would try and like shove my boob in there. And eventually he would take my boob over the bottle, but it took a lot. And so that kind of made me a little nervous to give bottles, because I had a really strong letdown and a very hard letdown, and so it would choke him, and the bottle was easier. And so that really terrified me because I didn't want him to prefer the bottle over me. That was another thing that was super hard, was my letdown was so strong. He choked a ton. Rocky also threw up so much, like especially the first 4 months, it was like ridiculous. But I don't think he stopped throwing up, like spitting up after eating, until he was like 8 months old. And he never had any frustrations with it. He would just throw up and move on, but like it was just hard for us. We literally went through so many swaddles. We couldn't use burp cloths. We literally had to use swaddle blankets because we would fill them up. Any person that held him, we knew they were gonna get throw up on them, and yeah, it was just a lot. But anyways, we got through that nursing strike. It was horrible. Again, I was just happy to be on the other side, but that was another point where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Okay, I can't really remember the entire timelines of all of this, but I would just want to bring up like points where we struggled. So one thing was when I returned to shooting weddings. I'm a wedding photographer. I'm actually kind of not doing it anymore. I have one more wedding this year and then I'm done. But at the time I had a ton of weddings, and because I was so afraid of giving him a bottle because he preferred it, I didn't. And I went to a wedding and it was 10 hours long and he didn't take a bottle at all. And it was horrible. I couldn't leave the wedding because I was contracted to be there, and he wasn't eating table foods at this time, and so he literally didn't eat. So when I got home, I had to wake him up in the middle of the night and feed him, and from there on I had to get that kid to take a bottle because I had a wedding the next week. And so the same thing I did when he wasn't taking my boob, I was doing with the bottle. So I would nurse him and then I would try and shove the bottle in his mouth, and then he wouldn't want it, but eventually doing it over and over again, he would take it. And then I had to get Nathaniel to give him one because he wouldn't want Nathaniel to give him a bottle. He only wanted me to. So I would stand over Nathaniel's shoulder and I would kind of like be in his face and make it seem as if I was giving it, but it was Nathaniel, and eventually he was able to give him a bottle. And the next wedding, he still refused one of the bottles. He only took one out of the two. So that was just super stressful too. That's a huge reason why I got really out of weddings really quickly, because it was way more stress for me than it was good. But that was a huge struggle too. And that reminds me of the fact that Rocky also does not like any noise when I nurse him. I can't talk. There can't be anyone else in the room distracting him. He easily will pop off and be completely distracted. A couple of times as it got easier, I would scroll through Instagram, but like if any video played or any sound was made, he instantly would pop off, and I couldn't do that. So that's also been super hard. Just the fact that like I haven't had any company while nursing him, and you guys know if you've nursed your babies, there's a lot of time spent doing that. And so yeah, that's been kind of hard too. Another thing I can't remember the timeline of, but it happened periodically through this past year, was periods of time where I felt like my milk supply was decreasing. The only reason I feel like I knew this like pretty well was because one, he would nurse shorter, but Rocky always nursed very short, which was also another stressor. He now to this day only nurses for like 3 to 4 minutes. And for the longest time it was only 5 to 6 minutes on each side, like total. And so that was stressful, but I tracked my feedings. Literally, I still track them, which I know Nathaniel was laughing at me because I forgot my phone during a feeding the other morning, and he was like, when are you gonna stop? And I was just like, how long have you been asking yourself, like, when is she gonna stop tracking them? And he said literally since like 6 months. It helps me understand how well nursing is going. So I feel like when you're nursing a baby, like time feels like forever. And I would always track when my milk would come down. And if it was not at its normal time, which was always around like 45 seconds, sometimes it would take like a minute and a half for it to come down. That's when I knew that my milk supply wasn't as good, or maybe I hadn't drank enough water, eaten enough food. And so that really helped me. But that happened more than you would think. And in those times I did have to give him a bottle of breast milk in order to make sure he got enough food. But yeah, that's happened periodically throughout the entire year. And then the next like significant thing was when he was 10 months old, he was growing in his top teeth, and they were coming down kind of at an angle, and it was excruciating. It wasn't that he was biting me, it was his teeth were like rubbing friction on my nipple to the point where I had holes. And I could not nurse him normally. I'm not kidding you guys, for a month. From 10 months to 11 months, I dangle fed him on my right side because I had a hole, and once it healed, if I nursed him normally in a cradle hold, it would re-spark. So that was super hard. There's still times right now, 12 months in, where if I'm at a certain angle, his teeth will kind of like dig in weird, and it will be a little painful. And so I'll just dangle feed him because I don't want holes in me anymore. But that was another thing that we struggled with too. Okay, the last thing I have to comment, which I'm already 13 minutes in and I've only talked about nursing, so I apologize, but was the fact that a lot of times throughout nursing too, Rocky would like kind of hit my face, or he'd scratch my chest or pinch me, or he would take like my straps and like pull them and like bring it all the way out and let go. And he just kind of like messed with me because I'm sure he was bored, but that was kind of hard too because I would just have to sit still and like kind of take it. And I just was so nervous all the time that he wasn't getting enough. I could never track how much he was getting. My only reassurance was the fact that he was gaining weight over his periods of appointments. And so I kind of just took a lot and it was super stressful. So yeah, anyways, that is my nursing journey. If you guys want any more like detailed questions answered, let me know. You can always comment them below or DM me, but I'm gonna stop talking about that. The last thing I did want to cover though is weaning. This will kind of jump into his sleeping as well, but I nursed him every 3 hours during the day from when he was born till he was 10 months old. And then through the night, I nursed him as many times as he was weeks old. So I don't know if that makes sense, but if he was 3 weeks old, I would feed him every 3 hours through the night. If he was 4 weeks old, I'd feed him every 4 hours, and so on until I got to 12 hours, and that's when I stopped feeding him through the night. And when he turned 10 months old, I dropped one of the afternoon feedings, so that way he would nurse 4 times a day. And then when he was 11 months old, I dropped another afternoon feeding, so he was nursing 3 times a day. And then at a year old, I dropped the afternoon feeding, so now he's only nursing twice a day. So yes, I am really quick. I'll share this. I don't want any comments on it. If you have any concerns about what you want to do, go ask your pediatrician. But we are giving him almond milk once I'm done nursing. There's a lot of calcium in it, actually more than whole milk. And we really strive to give him a lot of healthy fats throughout the day through chia seeds, peanut butter, avocado, that kind of thing. So his brain development will be good. Our pediatrician loved the idea. So yes. Okay. That is nursing. Let's move on to sleep training. From the beginning, Rocky was a really good sleeper, and I feel like it was because I was so consistent with nursing, because I wanted to make sure, one, he was getting enough, but I didn't want to nurse him any sooner. And so through the night, at the beginning, I set alarms and I would wake him up at the appropriate time in order to make sure he was getting enough food. I never once went through the night without making sure I fed him at the bare minimum of what was supposed to be fed, in my opinion. And so I think that really helped us through the nights, because he always knew that I was going to wake him up and feed him. Now, of course, there were some nights where he woke up a little bit earlier, but like I said, if he was 5 weeks old, I would go 5 hours at the night, 6 weeks old, 6 hours at the night, and so on. And that really helped us and made him really reliant on the fact that he didn't need food during the night. I also follow a lot of taking care of babies information, and she always stresses the importance of making sure they get enough food throughout the day. And so throughout the day, I was on the clock every 3 hours nursing Rocky. If he woke up a little early, it would be about 2.5 hours in between, but typically it was about 3 hours. At that 12-week mark, he, like I said, slept through the night, but that didn't mean he didn't wake up at all. It just meant that I didn't nurse him. And he didn't wake up often, and it was really easy to get him back to sleep, but how we did that was by giving him his binkies. And that was a clutch, but also kind of sucked, because that meant we were waking up through the night multiple times replacing his binky. I remember a lot of times we had friends over once we put him down, and we would run up the stairs to go put his binky back in his mouth because it fell and he woke up. And so I got really tired of that, which is what led us to sleep training. But the biggest thing that kind of pushed us over the edge for that and being ready for that was the 4-month sleep regression. And that was our hardest one out of all of them throughout the year. It was about 2 weeks of him waking up through the night. He again would soothe well with a binky, but there was a couple nights where he was up for a few hours at night and we could not get him back to sleep. And so, yeah, once we were done with that, we're like, all right, we're ready to sleep train. And I'm not gonna go into depth of sleep training because I have an entire video on that. I will leave it linked down below if you guys wanna watch it. But we slept trained Rocky at 5 months old. It took 3 weeks. It was hell, but it was the best decision that we have ever made, and we will make it for every single one of our kids from here on out. From there on, Rocky slept so well during the night. Like, we had regressions at 8 months, at 10 months, at whatever, and they didn't really bother his sleep. The only time that his night sleep was disrupted was when he was 10 months old. That was when I started weaning feedings and he started eating more solids, and he was going to the bathroom through the night. And so that was waking him up, and that lasted about a week or so. We figured out a good routine with it and it stopped. I also think his body kind of normalized the fact that he was eating more solids and he wasn't going to the bathroom as much. But that was the only like hiccup we had through the night. Now, naps are a whole nother story. I feel like naps until a year old or whatever are just so hit and miss. Every regression that you hear about through the Wonder Weeks app for naps, they definitely affected us. There was many times where it was more of an effort to keep him asleep than just to wake him up. So yeah, I don't have a ton of tips on that because I feel like we struggled with naps. Rocky does really well with his morning nap. He's actually during it right now. He's been asleep for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and he'll probably sleep for another 20 minutes, but afternoon naps were always a struggle and super hard. And I just feel like, from what I've heard from a lot of people, they don't really like consolidate until around like 10 months, and yeah, it's a lot. So I won't go into too much detail with that, but if you have questions, I probably can help. Also, as far as sleep training goes, just sleep information. Taking Care of Babies is who I follow. She gives a lot of information out for free on her Instagram, but she does have courses that you pay for as well. So if you guys are interested, I highly recommend checking her out. The last thing of a journey that I want to talk about is Rocky's journey with solids. And again, this one has been a rough one. If you guys can't tell, my biggest stressor for the year has been feeding Rocky. And luckily we're finally at a point where it's super good, but this past year has been so stressful when it comes to feeding him, and there's a lot I'll do different with my next baby, which if you guys want to hear about that, let me know. But we first introduced solids to Rocky around 5.5 months old, and he, for the first couple days, was super into it. So I was like, awesome, this is gonna go great. We gave him like avocado, bananas, no, I didn't give him yogurt. I gave him like real food. So I think it was mainly avocado and banana. I think I tried like peas and like carrots and like that kind of stuff, like pureed. This kid just did not love food. I tried for 1.5 months to get him to eat, and I put way too much stress on it, and he had no interest until he was 7 months old. Nathaniel was eating hummus and crackers, and Rocky was like salivating watching him eat it. And I was like, babe, just like let him try that. Let me see if he'll like it. And he loved it. And that was the start to an easier path than before, but not a great journey as far as baby-led weaning goes. He started to like more foods, but it wasn't a whole lot. A lot of the foods needed to be like that consistency of hummus where it's like super smooth and easy to swallow. He didn't really like to chew things, and a lot of foods just made us nervous. And I feel like it's just kind of like a first-time mom thing too, where you are really worried about your kid choking, and so you're just more hesitant. But yeah, he didn't really start eating well until he was 10 months old. When I dropped one of his feedings, he became hungrier. And since then, from 10 months to 12 months, we dropped, what is that, 3 feedings. So definitely a lot of milk has decreased, and his appetite has shot up. That kid now loves food. He wants anything and everything that we are eating. Although he still is very particular about the foods that he likes. He knows what he likes, and things that he doesn't like, he will spit that out. It's so funny because we'll give him like hummus with crackers, and like we'll try and throw like some deli meat in there, and he'll spit out the deli meat and still eat the hummus and crackers. Like he's very particular, but he has continued to grow his palate more and more, and we keep introducing some of the same things that he spit out before, and he's taken really well to it. So I just highly encourage for you guys, if you are going through a journey with baby-led weaning or just feeding your child, one, don't put a lot of pressure on it. For the first year, milk is what they are reliant on for nutrients, and food is just kind of an extra thing. And I just feel like if you can take that stress out of it, it's really gonna make things a lot better. But just know, as you decrease the milk that you give your baby, they're gonna be hungrier and they're gonna eat solids better. So yeah, with our next baby, I don't know if I will even introduce solids until they're like 6 or 7 months old, because it was just so freaking stressful. Like each meal was so stressful for Rocky and for myself and for Nathaniel. There was a lot of tears shed as we would feed, and I just felt like everyone else was feeding their kids at that point, so I should be too. But don't ever do that, you guys. If you're a mother, first time mom or not, don't compare what your kid is doing to everyone else and see or think that that's what you have to be doing, because every child is different, as we all know. So I feel like I just talked your ear off so much. I hope that this video was enjoyable and helpful to you guys, just to kind of see what we've been through. Maybe it'll help you feel less alone. Maybe it'll make you understand or know what to expect in the future. But this was our journey. Again, everyone's journey is so different, so it doesn't mean it'll happen to you. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I cannot believe my son is 1. It's literally insane. I have a toddler, I don't have a baby anymore. It makes me want to cry. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.